What's going on, guys? Angelo here, your favorite program manager, ex Google, and current UCLA MBA. So today's video is about how does Google break down your overall compensation when you get hired for your job there at Google. Google, along with many similar tech companies like within Fang or just tech in general, they break down your compensation via total compensation, right? And the way that works is when you sign your offer, it goes. There's about, I believe, three main buckets. Let's classify that as that, right? First is your initial base salary. So it's your salary no matter what. You'll get paid that amount. That'll be the first bucket. Second is equity. So how much equity you will be receiving, which is technically stock in the company. And last is your bonus. Your bonus, when you sign the offer, usually falls into two buckets, two aspects. First aspect is your signing bonus. So if you kind of come on as a new candidate, a lot of times companies will offer you a signing bonus, and that you can either negotiate for more or kind of convert it into equity. That's what I've seen. Or and then the last aspect of that bonus also is a year-end bonus. So at the end of the year, if you're a full-time employee, companies like Google, they'll offer you a year-end bonus, which usually is a percentage of your base salary, and then that bonus can become even higher depending on how you perform. So for Google, if you performed like in a bucket that was, I believe it was exceeds expectations, or there's like new buckets that we had now. There's different buckets. So essentially, if you perform in a good bucket, you get a lot higher multiply with your bonus, right? So say your bonus is $1,000 and you like exceed expectations, they'll multiply your bonus by say 25%, right? That's like a very, very high end, right? So there are options for you to get a higher bonus based on how you perform throughout the year, and that is up to your manager's discretion. So keep that in mind whenever you work for a new company, you apply to a new company like say a big tech company within Fang or just tech in general. Your bonus can be increased depending on your performance over the year through that specific calendar fiscal year. That is and up to your manager's discretion, right? So that's how tech kind of breaks down your compensation. So if you ever go on Blind, you ever go on levels of FYI, you see like an L3, L4 engineer making 300,000, 250, 200,000. Just know that isn't basically all like cash, like salary, like immediately here's your salary to 300, 200,000. It's more or less, it's a combination of three aspects, and that was your base salary, your equity, as well as your bonus. And that's bonus can either be like a signing bonus or a year-end bonus, right? Usually year-end bonus is usually most likely guaranteed as long as you perform with expectations, and if you do very well within the company, that is multiplied by a certain amount, right? So let's break down base, right? Base is essentially like your hourly salary, right? So if say you make this is rough guess, right? Say you make $100,000 a year, that would usually be $50 an hour, right? Give or take a few bucks here and there, right? So no matter what, at the end of the year, you will be paid $100,000 in base salary. And usually most companies within tech, they'll pay you that base salary on a bi-weekly basis. At Google, it was paid on a bi-weekly basis. So for us, the US and Canada, it was paid every Friday, every 2 weeks, right? So you could always imagine that. Going over every 2 weeks, you get that base salary, base salary, base salary. So that was good. And the way, if you are kind of, the way you're viewing your life, the way you view finances, if you're very kind of risk adverse, and say you have a family and you know your expenses are an X amount every year, I would focus on negotiating a high base salary, right? Because that way you know that your compensation isn't affected by the other aspects like a bonus or stock, right? Because stock it does kind of fluctuate, so keep that in mind, right? Just know for most roles, base salary is usually the least negotiable. And what I mean by least negotiable is that for base salary, a lot of times is that you can negotiate to make it higher, but know that most levels like L3, L4, L5, L6, L7, you are in a certain pay band, right? So what does that mean, right? So I think for L4 at Google, I could be wrong, right? I think the max pay band was around like 159 or 160, and then like the lowest was 140,000 to 160,000, right? These numbers could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but that's just what I saw for like high cost of living areas like New York, like Bay Area, right? And given that a lot of companies now are required to post their salaries now on the job application itself. If you scroll down to the bottom of the job application on whatever website, whatever company that you're looking to apply to, you'll see that that's the base salary range, right? And usually when you negotiate, they'll give you a base salary within that range. Sometimes they may be able to go $5,000 higher, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 higher, just depending on your role. If it's like a niche role, or if you are having competing offers where the salary is a little bit higher. For Google, usually like if you get a matching offer from like say another FAANG like Meta, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, right? They're usually more inclined to match or kind of bump your offer higher because there's high competition within like those groups of people. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're negotiating your salary or your offer. Okay, so that's one good thing with that. So let's dive into equity now. Equity is the most negotiable part of your total compensation package, right? What does that mean? So because equity is tied to the company, and that is the bucket that they can give you most, right? So essentially, like if you want to negotiate for more money, if you want to negotiate for more total compensation, your best bet is to hit the equity bucket, right? And if you really believe in the company that it's going to kind of roar and do well, the stock price will be going down, but eventually will go up, then your best bet is to negotiate for more equity. For me, when I was working at Google, I realized that equity was the biggest portion of that I could negotiate, right? Because I believe Google is such a big company and it wasn't going to go away. Search isn't going to go away. Ads aren't going to go away. I believe that I want the biggest part of my salary or my total compensation to be based off equity. So during compensation negotiations with the comp team as well as my recruiter, I kept asking for more and more equity, right? So equity is interesting, and for most tech companies, the way it vests for large FAANG companies is that they vest you kind of immediately, right? So as soon as you get there, you start getting equity, right? So I believe like my fourth month in, I was given shares of Alphabet, right? And they just kept going and going and going. Most companies, like smaller companies, they'll ask you, say, hey, you have to actually be here for 1 year in order for you to start investing equity within a company. So you have to wait that one whole year, and then you get equity in the company. But the good thing about FAANG, I don't know if Meta started it, but they're definitely the ones who had the higher compensations going forward, like starting it. They actually let you vest immediately. So as soon as you sign on board, 3-4 months in, you get your first equity package, right? You get your first shares within that. And those shares are awarded to you via like Schwab or Morgan Stanley. So that kind of keep that in mind. Keep in mind too that when you get your shares, right, they usually they're subject to withholding. So say you're giving like 100 shares, supposed to get 100 shares of Alphabet like in the next day or for your next equity package. Usually like they'll withhold some shares for tax purposes, right? So you won't see that full 100 shares. It'll be like 65. And it's best to talk to your accountant about that as well, or your financial advisor on how that really works. Cool. Last but not least is bonus. So bonus is important if you are like have a big purchase you're going for, or you need to basically need that money up front, right? And that's it's taxed similar to income in the sense that like that bonus is taxed the same way your base salary is taxed, right? So at most tech companies, they'll offer you a sign-on bonus, and that is usually like I heard, it depends, right? So if you're coming as an external candidate, they really like you have competing offers, they can give you high sign-on bonus, right? If you have no competing offers, they might not even offer you a sign-on bonus. For me, I wasn't offered a sign-on bonus, then I brought competing offers, and then I got a sign-on bonus, which is kind of interesting. But you can always ask for a sign-on bonus even if you don't have competing offers. So just keep that in mind when you are negotiating your salary. So that's one thing, that your sign-on bonus is big. You get that immediately as you kind of start your first day. So on that second week where you get your first paycheck is when you get your sign-on bonus. But keep in mind, if you don't stay at the company for over a year, then you will have to pay back a portion of that signing bonus, right? Essentially, that sign-on bonus is kind of binding you to be there for 1 year. If you don't pay it back, if you don't stay at the company for a year or more, for 1 year, they will prorate that bonus and you will owe the company money, right? So say you get $100,000, but you only stay 80% of that first year, you will have to pay the company back $20,000 in sign-on bonus, right? Next is year-end bonus. I mentioned this before. Year-end bonus, it's a portion of your salary. I think for L4 is around 15% of your base salary. And then what happens if you do well, it's at the manager's discretion. You're based on your performance review, they can multiply that by an X amount, right? Depending on what bucket you fall under after performance review. So for Google, I think it was like 15-20%, so depending on how you perform, right? So that can be a pretty significant amount, especially if, like, say your base is 200,000, you do really well, you get 20% bonus on top of that. That's a lot larger amount than most people will be getting, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I need you to please like, comment, and subscribe. This channel is just going to be how everything I've learned through working in tech, through my MBA program, and how I can help you guys out, especially if you want to go on this journey yourself. It's definitely it's a fun journey, and it allows you to really like take care of the people you love and care about, for sure, kind of early on in your career. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much, Jello fam. Please like, comment, subscribe. This is Angelo Carlos, ex-Google, and current UCLA MBA. I appreciate you guys. Have an amazing day, guys.